Hello, my lovely, wonderful big book friends. Welcome to Infinite Power and Love book study. We are powering through, we're starting chapter 9. So we're on page 122. We're going into the family afterwards. And the book was written to help alcoholics and the medical profession and the families, as well as the people in the addiction. So these chapters, even though I have to confess, I don't study these chapters as much as the other chapters. When I'm working with others all of the time, I'm always in, the steps 1 to 11 and 12. But these three chapters, they need some more studying, because there's absolute gold in here. So we've just gone through to wives, which is a controversial chapter. Some people love it, some people hate it. I find it really helpful to sort of dig deep into my step 9 process of really understanding what it was like for those people who lived around us. And we're now just going into the family afterwards. So I've got 2 books here. Let me try not to confuse myself. Before we go any further, let's read the step that we're actually on, because that can be really helpful. So if you just want to go to page 60 to read step 12. So having had a spiritual awakening as the result of these steps, we try to carry this message to alcoholics and to practice these principles in all our affairs. 3 parts to that step. I was just off the back of a family holiday thinking about, to practice these principles in all our affairs. It can be challenging in different situations, can't it? This is very apt. Family afterwards. So we're on page 122. Our women folk have suggested certain attitudes a wife may take with the husband who is recovering. So obviously we have to just accept that this was written back in the day. We do know that Bill Wilson wrote to wives on behalf of the wives. A certain attitude a wife may take with the husband who is recovering. Perhaps they created the impression that he is to be wrapped in cotton wool and placed on a pedestal. Successful readjustment means the opposite. So whenever I sort of think about the words in this book and the message in this book, I always set myself the little challenge of like, how would I get this message across, carry this message so concisely in just 164 pages? If we were tasked with that job, I just don't, it's so divinely written that it's so condensed, and yet it's so impactful. It's changed millions of people's lives. So there's certain things we may agree or disagree with, but actually this program works, doesn't it? And it's such a hard task to kind of get everything out to everyone. So all members of the family should meet upon the common ground of tolerance, understanding, and love. That's a common theme throughout the whole book, isn't it? Tolerance, understanding, and love. Patience, tolerance, kindliness, and love. It just runs throughout the whole book. This involves a process of deflation. I love that. Process of deflation. I've done 2 little cross references here. One to page 14 and one to page 25. So if you do like a cross reference, the way I do it is my first point of reference has a little star next to it. And then the second one just has the number. So if you go to page 14, it's one of my favorite bits of the book. And at the top of the page, it says, Simple, but not easy. A price had to be paid. It meant destruction of self-centeredness. I must turn in all things to the Father of light who presides over us all. But that destruction of self-centeredness, that reminds me of this deflation, this ego deflation. And the word destruction is really strong, isn't it? It's not pleasant, but it's what has to happen. And the other one on page 25 is, again, at the top of the page, there is a solution. Almost none of us like the self-searching, the leveling of our pride. I always think of a bulldozer when I think of my pride being leveled. I don't think that it's like a little nudge or a little knock. It's like my ego has to be smashed. And this process of deflation can apply to the alcoholic, but also to the family members, as it's going to tell us. So the alcoholic, his wife, welcome to those that are just joined. We're on page 122. We just did a couple of cross references that I can share with you if you missed it at the end. The alcoholic, his wife, his children, his in-laws, each one is likely to have fixed ideas about the family's attitude towards himself or herself. So I've put a little question mark there. This is obviously relating to the family afterwards, but this is these fixed ideas, these old ideas, this is part of the problem, isn't it? Set in stone, I think I know how everything should go. And I'm rigid, unwilling to budge, unwilling to see an entirely different view. Each is interested in having his or her wishes respected. We find the more one member of the family demands that the others concede to him, the more resentful they become. This makes for discord and unhappiness. So that word demands, you know, ordering, completely dominating, again, thinking that they know what's best. And why? Is it not because each wants to play the lead? Is not each trying to arrange the family show to his liking? So I did a little cross-reference here to page 60. So if you like the cross-referencing, you might want to put a little 60 with an asterisk. And at the bottom of the page, it's that bit about each person is like an actor who wants to run the whole show, is forever trying to arrange the lights, the ballet, the scenery, and the rest of the players in his own way. If his arrangements would only stay put, if only people would do as he wished, the show would be great. Everybody, including himself, would be pleased. Life would be wonderful. And then it goes on, obviously it goes on. But this is talking about the family now. And those characteristics run deep, right? And in a way, we're talking about the insanity. We've been talking about the insanity of the alcoholic or the addict. We're just on page 122. You know, we've been talking about the insanity of the alcoholic or addict, but now we're talking about the identification with the family members. The family member might be like, if only you would do as I wished, everything would be fine. And that's kind of like that restless, irritable, and discontented. I'm only happy when things are going my way. So I thought that was a good little cross-reference. We're back on page 122. Is he not unconsciously trying to see what he can take from the family life rather than give? I've just thought of another little cross-reference. If you like them, you might want to put 102. with a little asterisk and then 122. That first paragraph, at the end of the paragraph on page 102, it says, do not think of what you will get out of the occasion. Think of what you can bring to it. And I don't know about you all, but I know for a fact that I never used to think about what I could bring to it other than, you know, I'm going to bring my awesomeness or my dominating, shouty. Do you know what I mean? I'm going to make decisions, and I never thought, what can I bring to this? And this is talking about the family saying, yeah, if things go my way, I can get out from the family what I want instead of thinking, how can I be of service? Cessation of drinking is but the first step away from a highly strained, abnormal condition. So cessation means the ending or stop of drinking. And it's the first step. I can't think of the other place, maybe somebody else in this book study. I'm just trying to bring it to mind. I can't remember what page it's on. I'm going to have to move on. Where it says drinking is, yeah. Oh, I can see Freedom mouthing it. You can put it in the chat for me if you'd be so kind. You know which bit I'm talking about. So a doctor said to us that years of living with an alcoholic is almost sure to make any wife or child neurotic. Neurotic means a tendency to experience anxiety, depression, self-doubt, and other negative feelings. That's quite sad, isn't it? It says the entire family is, to some extent, ill. Isn't that the truth? All of us, family illness. Let families realize as they start their journey that all will not be fair weather. Okay, we're not going to get well and everything just turn into sunshine and roses. Each in his turn may be footsore and may straggle. So I quite like that, little analogy about we're on this path. Rarely have we seen a person fail who has thoroughly followed our path, and thinking about the family walking this path, and that sometimes people's feet will get sore. You might get a blister, your shoes might hurt, and you may start hanging back. You may not keep up with the whole family, but they've talked throughout, haven't they, and said the more we can stick together with this, the more we can educate people about the illness and the solution, the more likely it is that people can find God and be of service and get out of self. And it's really beneficial for all. So there will be alluring shortcuts and bypaths down which they may wander and lose their way. So I did a little cross-reference here to page 58, where it says about finding an easier, softer way. Let me just find it. At some of these we booked, we thought we could find an easier, softer way. That is just at the front of the last paragraph on page 58. And again, we are talking about the family afterwards here, but it reminded me of like an alluring shortcut and bypath. Can I find an easier, softer way than working the 12 steps by seeking God, by showing up and doing these directions that they're going to give us now about using our pain to help someone else, which is how this magic works. So suppose we tell you some of the obstacles a family will meet. Suppose we suggest how they may be avoided. even converted to good use for others. And I love the mixture in the book of real firm, hard warnings of you must do this, you must do that, and here are some suggestions. This is what we, you know, and it's so subtle, but the facts are that if we want to get the results, we're going to have to take the action. So they're going to make some suggestions. The family of an alcoholic longs for the return of happiness and security. Happiness and security. They remember when father was romantic, thoughtful, and successful. Today's life is measured against that of other years, and when it falls short, the family may be unhappy. I also love this idea of complete transformation. So, what once was thought to be happiness and success and security, when we go through this transformation, it's our wishes are different, our wants are different. Hi, Charlotte. We're just on page 123, the family afterwards. Second paragraph. The family confidence in dad is rising high. The good old days will soon be back, they think. Sometimes they demand, there's that word again. Let me just get my little dictionary here as well. Oh, I haven't got it there. Sometimes they demand that dad will bring them back instantly. And this idea of instantly also made me think of the flip version for the alcoholics. You know, are we naively assuming and thinking that our family are going to be right as rain instantly? Are they going to bounce back to being like the good old days, like happy and not harmed? It's not, you know, it's not realistic. God, they believe, almost owes this recompense on a long overdue account. Recompense means like compensation. Yes, sorry, I'm not so quick that I can read the two things, but what Freedom said in the chat, check it out. They I think you just referred to page 82. I've got page 82 referred to, so we'll jump back to that. Maybe you can jump in a bit early and share with us what you were going to say. So they believe that God owes them this compensation because they've been putting up with the alcoholic for so long. But the head of the house has spent years in pulling down the structures of business, romance, friendship, health. These things are now ruined or damaged. I did a little cross-reference here to page 21. So 21 in a little asterisk, you know, at the bottom of the page where they tell us what the real alcoholic is. And then they say, so it's just at the bottom of the page, like 5 lines up. He often possesses special abilities, skills, and aptitudes, and has a promising career ahead of him. He uses his gifts to build up a bright outlook for his family and himself, and then pulls the structure down on his head by a senseless series of sprees. There it is again, that whole, hello, welcome to those that have just joined. We're on page 123. We're just talking about the head of the house has spent years in pulling down these structures of business, romance, friendship, health. These things are now ruined or damaged. It will take time to clear away the wreck. That old wreckage of our past, right? We're trying to clear the debris. Though old buildings will eventually be replaced by finer ones, the new structures will take years to complete. Sometimes I forget these like cross references, and then in my head as I'm reading it, I'm like, oh, thinking of all these places. One day I'm going to start doing handouts because I love all of the building references, and I forgot about this one here. Father knows he is to blame. It may take many seasons of hard work to be restored financially, but he shouldn't be reproached. So reproached means disapproval, disappointment. Hi, Linda. Welcome. We're on
I
page one.
know.
We're on page 123. So, but he shouldn't be reproached. This disapproval. It's like this is a patient program, right? The recovery is going to take a while to rebuild, and everything is transforming, like we've said. Perhaps he will never have much money again, but the Wise family will admire him for what he is trying to be rather than for what he is trying to get. And we've had countless warnings throughout the book about property, pomp, prestige, ego. It doesn't work for us alcoholics when we are trying to fill that hole in the soul with financial gains. The spirit and money, they don't work so well together when our motives are wrong. And that thing of, the things that matter to us don't matter so much. How could they? We've gone through this change. Now and then, the family will be plagued by specters from the past. For the drinking career of almost every alcoholic has been marked by escapades, funny, humiliating, shameful, or tragic. Who can relate to that? I mean, all of the above. All of the above. I can see you, Celine. All of the above. And we get it, don't we? We get it. We totally get it. But the non-alcoholics and drinkers, it's, we've gone through to Wives, which really helps identify how they can handle a lot of these situations. The first impulse will be to bury these skeletons in a dark closet and padlock the door. Shame, right? Shame that our behavior, my behavior, has brought on my family. The instinct is to lock it up, padlock it away. The family may be possessed by the idea that future happiness can be based only upon forgetfulness of the past. We think that such a view is self-centered and in direct conflict with the new way of living. Oh, there's another way of living. I love that. I'm going to squiggly underline that and get a handout made up one day of all of the design for living, way of life, way of living. Henry Ford once made a wise remark to the effect that experience is the thing of supreme value in life. And if you think about it, it's like that's all we have. All we have is our experience. And our beautiful program has just regenerated this pain into somebody's hope. It's just incredible. That is true only if one is willing to turn the past to good account. We grow our willingness to face and rectify errors and convert them into assets. Magic. We're magic makers. And it's only by the people in the rooms that came before that showed us how to be courageous. Oh, page 43. Oh, don't know. I can't keep up when people put a, let me just see if I can. is at the top of the page. The way, a way of living infinitely more satisfying and I hope more useful than the way of life I've lived before. My old manner of life was by no means a bad one, but I would not exchange it for its best moments for the worst I have now. I would not go back to it even if I could. Beautiful. I just caught that one. That was cool. So the alcoholic's past thus becomes the principal asset of the family, and frequently asset of the family, and frequently it is almost the only one. Imagine that absolute gold, that this pain, this trauma, this humiliation has now become my greatest asset. I've been shown how to put it to good use. And when I do that, this is also making me think of am I staying close to God and performing his work well? I think it's page 63. Yeah. He provided what we needed if we kept close to him and performed his work well. And it's also, that's page 63. It's reminding me of which, have we even got there yet? Oh no, we haven't got there yet. Page 129. I love that. He when he's talking about the prospector, and he's like, you know, we've barely scratched a limitless load which will pay dividends only if he mines it for the rest of his life and insists on giving away the entire product. Love that. Sorry, I digress. Right. This painful past may be one of infinite value to other families still struggling with their problem. Let's see. Yeah, infinite, never ending, infinite. Love that. Infinite value to families still struggling with their problem. This problem of alcoholism, we have solved. There's a bit in the book, isn't it? They have solved the drink problem. We think each family which has been relieved owes something to those who have not. And when the occasion requires, each member of it should be only too willing to bring former mistakes, no matter how grievous, out of their hiding places. That makes me think of the AA responsibility statement, of which, you know, I am responsible, and the hand of AA reaches out, that I should be there. Showing, and I don't know if you guys get this as well, because sometimes I really enjoy just sitting back and listening, but if there's a strong, you know, solution focused message being carried in a meeting, sometimes I just love to kind of kick back, but other times I get this little niggle in the back of my head which feels like the responsibility statement to share in a meeting, which feels like my elders did this for me to keep me coming back. Somebody said something that like drew me back to these rooms, you know, to share. They shared something powerful, showing others who suffer how we were given help is the very thing which makes life seem so worthwhile to us now. How beautiful. Showing others who suffer how we were given help, because otherwise we wouldn't accept that help, right? Unless I was desperate and really, really needed it. This is one of my favorite bits as well. Cling to the thought that in God's hands, beautiful, in God's security, God's hands, the dark past is the greatest possession you have. The key to life and happiness for others. It doesn't actually say the key to life and happiness for me, even though that is like a direct result. The direct result of me helping others is that I receive a peace and serenity in my heart, which makes me not want for anything. Like, you know, when I'm fully in this work, I'm not that interested. I don't need anything. Isn't that amazing to feel that? Not everyone might feel that, but when I'm deep in this work, I really, really, really feel that. And it's only when I get back into selfishness and self-centeredness that I start going, oh yeah, but I want, oh yeah, but I need, oh, I don't like it when you do that. I don't like it when you do that. And I'm like, oh, you're back in self. You're trying to run the show again. Let's get back into service, thinking of others. So with it, you can avert death or misery for them. This is making me think of, I hope you don't mind that I keep on digressing, but it's making me think of, in We Agnostics, I'm pretty sure, is it page 50 or 55? Let me find it. Ooh, 49. I was close. Instead of regarding ourselves as intelligent agents, spearheads of God's ever advancing creation. It's just in the middle of the page. It kind of reminds me of that. I'm going to add it actually. 49 with a little asterisk, 124. It reminds me of that because I feel like we are literally superheroes. Like, our job is so cool that we get to help people avert death and misery. And all I have to do is show up with this book and take time out of my life to read it with someone, and pick up the phone and answer, and pick up the phone and call a newcomer. And we've got the key to life and happiness for others. It is possible to dig up misdeeds so they become a blight. A blight is, let me just find, it's a plant disease, so it's an infection. Yeah, have a severely detrimental effect on, and it damages stuff. A veritable plague. Yeah. So a contagious disease. For example, we know of situations in which the alcoholic or his wife have had love affairs. Now, here's where I don't know what, I couldn't keep up with Freedom's little reference to page 82, but I did a page reference to 82 with a little asterisk here. And if you want to flick over, it's in steps 8 and 9, and it's talking about when one of the partners has been wild. And it says on page 82, second paragraph down, no outsider can appraise such an intimate situation. It may be that both will decide that the way of good sense and loving kindness is to let bygones be bygones. Each might pray about it, having the other one's happiness uppermost in mind. And I love that bit. Oh, and I'll just go on. I'll just read the next bit. Having the other one's happiness. Keep it always in sight that we are dealing with the most terrible human emotion, jealousy. Ew, it's a nasty one. It's very, very uncomfortable for those people that have experienced it. So that reminded me of that bit, because it's saying, back in the amends process, it's saying, can we let bygones be bygones? And then it gives us some action. Can we both pray about it, praying for the other one's happiness uppermost in mind before my own? So here it's talking about what can go wrong. In the first flush of spiritual experience, they forgave each other and drew closer together. The miracle of reconciliation was at hand. Then, under one provocation or another, the aggrieved one would unearth the old affair and angrily cast its ashes about. A few of us have had these growing pains, and they have hurt a great deal. So they are trying to guide us on how to avoid this, even though maybe it is inevitable, but they've been through it, they've experienced it. Husbands and wives have sometimes been obliged to separate for a time until new perspective, new victory over hurt pride could be re-won. Hurt pride, oh, that's a brutal one, isn't it? Pride, the first of the 7 sins. Pride, ouch. And it reminds me again of that ego deflation. But this is obviously a tricky situation. In most cases, the alcoholic survived this ordeal without relapse, but not always. So we think that unless some good and useful purpose is to be served, past occurrences, and they haven't specified of this type, should not be discussed. Because in this chapter, they're talking about the dark crannies of the past should be brought to the light. These skeletons shouldn't be pushed down, but they talk about, you know, if it can be used for good, if it's going to help people rebuild, but if it's going to be this blight, this veritable plague, then we've got to be very, very careful for the family and for the alcoholic or addict. So we families of Alcoholics Anonymous keep few skeletons in the closet. Everyone knows about the other alcoholics' troubles. This is a condition which, in ordinary life, would produce untold grief. There might be scandalous gossip, laughter at the expense of other people, and a tendency to take advantage of intimate information. Among us, these are rare occurrences. We do talk about each other a great deal, but we almost invariably temper such talk by a spirit of love and tolerance. I'm going to read the next paragraph and then just do a bit of reflection on one of our principles and the traditions. Another principle we observe carefully is that we do not relate intimate experiences of another person unless we are sure he would approve. We find it better, when possible, to stick to our own stories. A man may criticize or laugh at himself, and it will affect others favorably, but criticism or ridicule coming from another often produces the contrary effect. Members of a family should watch such matters carefully, for one careless, inconsiderate remark has been known to raise the very devil. And this bit is such a powerful bit. It's so relatable, isn't it? I need to remember what page this is on to come back to it more and more. We alcoholics are sensitive people. Ooh, who can relate to that? I mean, oh my gosh. Sensitive people. It takes some of us a long time to outgrow that serious handicap. Let me just see what I've got. Oh, right. Okay, let me just see. Oh, yeah, restricts ability to function. I didn't. So these 2 paragraphs here are so important, and in all honesty and in all truth, you know, this probably gets not adhered to a lot of the time. Okay. It makes me think of the yellow card, which is displayed in every room, you know, maybe should be. And I always remember it. If you haven't got it visible, I have little actions for it to help me remember who you see here, what you hear here, when you leave here, let it stay here. I don't know why the actions help me. Like, oh, what you see here, freedom. What you say? Oh no, I've messed it up. Somebody help me out. One sec. What you see here, what you hear here. It doesn't say when you speak here, but you're saying, oh my gosh, I've messed it up. when you
Who you
leave here,
see
let it.
here, what you hear here, when you leave here, let it stay here. And I refer to it like the monkey. See no evil, hear no evil, speak no evil.
The
So leave it there.
the action of the mouth made me think, have I forgotten one of the but no, I get you.
Okay,
See no evil,
I'll
hear no
shut up
evil.
now.
No worries, no worries. And sometimes I've heard people say, please let it stay here. And I've heard other people correct them and say, look, this is not a politeness of, what you see here, what you hear here, when you leave here, please let it stay here. It's not like a polite request. It's really, really, really important because gossip kills. If and the thing is, I've been guilty of, speaking with someone about something that comes up in the meeting, and I have to be aware of anonymity is the spiritual foundation of all of our traditions. And, where am I being judgmental, critical, disrespectful, where self-righteous, all of those things? I have to remember that I'm a very sensitive person. If I knew that that was happening towards me, it would be a whole different ball game, but I'm going to put my hands up, and I think everybody can relate to that thing, you know oh my god, did you hear what so and so said in the meeting? And it's like, we've got to be careful about this, because the gossip can keep people out of the rooms, and people can pick up and people can die, you know um so here we go. Many alcoholics are enthusiasts. Who's an enthusiast? Oh gosh, oh my gosh. They can run to extremes. Black, it's white, we're here, we're there, we're at the beginning of recovery. A man will take, as a rule, one of two directions. He may either plunge into a frantic attempt to get on his feet in business, or he may be so enthralled by his new life that he talks or thinks of little else. In either case, certain family problems will arise. With these, we have experience galore. Who can relate to that? You're either like, gonna rebuild the family home, get the business, do all of that, or completely the other thing, obsessed, talking incessantly about spiritual matters. One extreme or the other. We think it dangerous if he rushes headlong at his economic problem. Sorry. The family will be affected also, pleasantly at first, as they feel their money should as they feel their money troubles are about to be solved, then not so pleasantly as they find themselves neglected. So it's that whole thing, isn't it, of like catch 22. Dad or the alcoholic may be tired at night and preoccupied by day. He may take small interest in the children and may show irritation when reproved for his delinquencies. So to be reproved means to be reprimanded, to be told off. And delinquencies is like, it's like immaturity. There's adolescence, inexperience. If not irritable, he may seem dull and boring, not gay and affectionate as the family would like him to be. Mother may complain of inattention. And we spoke about that into wives as well, this neglect of the family. They are all disappointed and often let him feel it. Beginning with such complaints, a barrier arises. He is straining every nerve to make up for lost time. He is striving to recover fortune and reputation and feels he is doing very well. So these are really helpful experience sharing of the pitfalls that we face. Because who in this room can relate to wanting to run before we can walk? We've never actually done things soberly before, but now we're like, woohoo, I feel great. I'm going to go and take on the world. And it's like, slow down. This can, this can have really negative effects. Sometimes mother and children don't think so. Having been neglected and misused in the past, they think father owes them more than they are getting. They want him to make a fuss over them. They expect him to give them the nice times they used to before he drank so much, and to show his contrition for what they suffered. Oh, let me find the definition for contrition, because it's not in this book. Contrition. Oh, why have I not got it? Someone may put it in. Someone may put it in. For some reason, I have not got it. Forgive me. Disapproval, I think. If someone's got that contrition, it's not in this book, I'm afraid. Yeah. Drank so much to show his contrition for what they suffered. But dad doesn't give freely of himself. Resentment grows. Uh-oh. He becomes still less communicative. Sometimes he explodes over a trifle. So the idea being, thanks, I feel like Celine is putting it contrition in the thing. Thank you. Who has experienced that? To have remorse in my book, Next Contrition. Thank you, Celine. Remorse, yeah, is feeling sorry for, yeah, the past. So who can relate to that? Exploding over a trifle. The bit he is striving to recover, which is the other bit. He is straining every nerve to rebuild, resentment grows, explodes over a trifle. The family is mystified. They criticize, pointing out how he is falling down on his spiritual program. This sort of thing can be avoided. Both father and the family are mistaken. Though each side may have some justification, it is of little use to argue and only makes the impasse worse. So an impasse is like head to head. Yeah, we did the same action. Head to head, fist to fist, no one's budging, no one's getting anywhere. The family must realize that dad, though marvelously improved, is still convalescing. So he's still healing. Recovering one's health and strength over a period of time. I do have contrition. I'm so sorry. I did have it. I just couldn't see it. So a very sorry or guilty feeling about something bad that you have done. The act of showing that you feel like, the act of showing that you feel like this. So that's really helpful, Celine, that you put in remorse. And I've got the act of showing it. So I feel remorseful, but I'm also showing it. Contrition. Good word. They should be, so we're on the top of 2127. They should be thankful that he is sober and able to be of this world once more. Let them praise his progress. Let them remember that his drinking wrought all kinds of damage that may take long to repair. If they sense these things, they will not take so seriously his periods of crankiness, depression, or apathy, which will disappear when there is tolerance, love, and spiritual understanding. So again, these these lovely watchwords, right? Kindliness, patience, understanding, love, tolerance, spiritual understanding. We are asking a lot, of the family, but we have to be honest about the facts. If we run before we can walk, it's not going to be good for anyone. And it also reminds me, I know I always take people back to that page on page 14 where Dr. Silkworth says to Bill Wilson, something has happened to you. I don't know what it is. Something has happened to you. Anything is better than the way you were. Like, hold on to this. Things will get better. And also, what's coming to mind now is that bit on page 87, which is so helpful for anyone, where it says, pause when agitated or doubtful. The head of the house ought to remember that he is mainly to blame for what befell his home. So again, this is good. This is like accountability, responsibility. He can scarcely square the account in his lifetime, but he must see the danger of over-concentration on financial success. Although financial recovery is on the way for many of us, we found that we could not place money first. I've got that really thick underlined. Spirituality and materialistic. It says, for us, material well-being always followed spiritual progress. It never precedes. And isn't it funny how when our spiritual malady is overcome, the mental and the physical is overcome, but also our financial. We can be reliable citizens who get offered opportunity. God puts things in our path, right? It's magic. When we stick close to him and perform his work well. I don't know if this has happened for you guys. I was always in the red, could never pay the bills. Now in recovery, it's like I'm always provided for. It's magic. So since the home has suffered more than anything else, it is well that a man exert himself there. I've just forgotten that place again, the page number. I just remembered it the other day, where it says in our respective homes, occupations, and affairs. I can't remember what page it's on, but it talks about in that order that's where our attention should be. And here it's saying the home has suffered a lot, so we should exert ourselves at home. I don't know if you can relate to this, but I almost feel a little bit like I've sort of pushed my family to one side for a bit. My children are grown up and I've just been like, recovery, recovery, recovery. And now it's like this living amends, being there for my family, really there. He is not likely to get far in any direction if he fails to show unselfishness and love under his own roof. So there's another brilliant place to bring sponsees or ourselves if we're feeling a little bit pulled left, right, and center, lots of service, but maybe not service in our homes. We know there are difficult wives and families, but the man who is getting over alcoholism must remember he did much to make them so. Thank you, Charlotte. 33. Brilliant. Let's see. Perspective. Oh, I can't find it. Can't find it there. Lost my train. Don't worry, we'll find it after. So as each member of a resentful family begins to see his shortcomings and admits them to others, he lays a basis for helpful discussion. beautiful, not just discussion, but helpful discussion. These family talks will be constructive if they can be carried on without heated argument, self-pity. I might squiggly underline self in self-pity, self-justification. Oh, I might underline the self in self-justification, or resentful criticism. This is another good place. We've got a few just off the top of my head, page 89, 77, and 85, the 3 places in the book where it talks about do not criticize. Remember, do not criticize. Remember, do not criticize, because this is about healing. Can I pause when agitated? Can I do inventory with my sponsor? Doing that 10th step inventory if and when I feel annoyed or upset is gold, because then I can take it to the properly appointed person instead of causing more damage. Little by little, mother and children will see that they ask too much, and father will see that he gives too little. Giving rather than getting will become the guiding principle. In my original book here, I've got of my whole life, giving rather than getting. How beautiful to be happy in that stance, not just be doing it to be receiving, but actually to be that humble servant, that agent, that spearhead of God's ever advancing creation. As my time is nearly up, I'm going to stop right there, and maybe we might get a little share back from anyone who has to leave. But thank you so much for listening. I'm going to stop the recording.